Well, that didn't exactly go to plan. This is the morning after the game before West Ham nil, Bristol City 1. Well, Bristol City 1, West Ham nil, because the replay was at Ashton Gate. For all you younger audience, this is not an anomaly. This is back to what we're used to. Back in the day, you could bet your house on results like this. Listen, I always said this was going to be a banana skin tie. I could see it. Mid-table, you see it so many times down the years. Mid-table championship side knocking out a Premier League side by being physical, by being rough, by wanting it more, by treating it as exactly what it is, a nothing to lose game for them. No complaints about the result. I thought Bristol City were well worth the result over the two legs or two ties. Could we have won the game? Of course. But I think that's one of the issues that we've got to delve in here now. Listen, I haven't really got any complaints about, Moyes, going strong for both ties. He wanted both ties. You could tell he did. Listen, if we'd have got knocked out and he would have played a B team, there could have been complaints about that. But I don't think there was a lot of thought into it, about a lot of thought into who you're picking. And you know what I'm like. There are question marks over Moyes for me, and his style of management. Too many players really just not good enough to be in this side. Listen, we've got some, borderline world-class players. Paquetá, Bowen, Kudus. I think Emerson has been fantastic. Zuma on his day, I think, are great. Our first 11 is a decent first 11. The one thing I would say, and I've got to say this over the season, not just this game, over the season. Listen, we've won games with individual brilliance and, players that are probably above the level that we are at the moment. But we cannot play football. Outside the first 11, we cannot play football. It's really tough to watch us try to pass a ball around. When you're looking at a mid-table championship side, sometimes we struggle to do the basics. We struggle to do the basics, The passing last night, there was no rhyme nor reason to it. It was it wasn't like we'd been working on exploiting their weaknesses or planning a way to get through a team that's going to be resilient, that's going to be tough, that's going to be physical, which is always what you're going to get with these championship sides. They're not going to come there and outplay you. They're naive if they come and think they can play football and outplay sides in the top league. So they come with a different approach. Ruffle them up. Go in strong, commit to the challenges. And you never know, on the day where these sort of superstars don't fancy it, you get a result, and that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. They was rough, they was ready, they were out fighting us in every aspect of the pitch. They wanted it, and our players didn't want it. Listen, I could bemoan the referee. There's a couple of challenges that could have, that definitely could have gone punished. We've lost two players in the first tie. Key players as well as having one at the AFCON. There was a strong challenge on Danny Ings, I think, that could have gone punished. There was a punch swung at Aaron Cresswell that could have gone punished. But ultimately, there will always be questions over the Ben Rama one, but ultimately he's kicked out, and by the letter of the law, it's a red card, Should have been evened up. But even still, defensive mistakes have been our downfall this year, and Mavropanos has been. Listen, I thought he's had decent games in the last few weeks, but ultimately he's been one that's that's led to more. Short passes. The one against Palace was down to him. A short pass back last night. Set the tone early. There's sliding doors moments. There was a save in the first game that could have, I think would have killed the tie at 2-0. And the keeper made a magnificent save. And there was one last night where Souček got across his man, and the keeper made another magnificent save. I've got no bones about the result, as I say, but you know, it just goes to show that outside of our first 11, you know, you lose a couple of players. The players that are coming in are really, really inferior. You know, we've got such a small squad in terms of the quality. You know, we've got players that feel it. You know, every team's got players that feel it. But outside of our first 11, some of them are relegation fodder. You know, Danny Ings would be playing for a relegation threatened side, probably not getting in. Cresswell wouldn't be getting in. Who else? Ben Rama. I don't think he's just not cut out for it here. You know, just been downtrodden so much. Confidence player, needs a free rein, needs to be G'd up all the time. You know, can be good, but ultimately goes missing too many times. You know, and last night he's let his teammates down, let us down. Not shocked by the result. You know, and that you know, that's the most telling thing that you can say. I'm not shocked by the result. We're in for a rough month, a rough couple of months, unless we delve into that transfer market. It's so important that we go out now and try and get a bit of quality to, you know, to back up, you know, the good work that we've already done. Because ultimately, you know, there was a stat. We've had the least days in the Premier League hit by injuries, you know. I think it was something like 200, and we was the least. You know, we've been lucky that we've had that sort of stat. And then, you know, as the football gods normally do, they hit you with it all at once, and now you have to struggle on without any type of quality. I don't know what else to say. You know, apart from, I think that side of the game is David Moyes' downfall. You know, that first 11, when it's all going well, I think it's brilliant. But man managing people that you've got to ultimately end up turning around and relying on and you know, giving them enough hope and belief that they can be, or encouragement that they're still part of your plans, part of your squad. They're not just making up the numbers. I think that's where he fails miserably. And that's where you're not getting a tune out of these players that, you know, these Ings, these Cornets, these Ben Ramas, they don't feel part of it. They don't feel wanted, you know. And look, professionalism is key in these parts. You know, there are some players that you know, will always you know, respond to that type of management, but there's other players that just couldn't care less. You know, they're not West Ham fans. They're not, you know, they haven't grown up loving the club or loving the fans. They're there to do a job. You know, it's like any human being. If you're there to do a job, and ultimately your boss doesn't show any faith in you or show any belief in you that you can do that job, and is constantly sort of ignoring you. You know, when the game gets tough, when your boss comes and calls on you when they have to, rather than when they choose to, you're not going to be motivated, and you're not going to be, you know, you're not going to feel the need to, or the want to, you know, put in your best efforts. I know I'm rambling on a little bit, but you know, this is the facts. These are the facts, and this is a reason why. You know, for all of his faults, I think he's done a brilliant job. I really do. I do think he's done a brilliant job. But there are parts of this Premier League, this modern Premier League era, that David Moyes is just not cut out for. You know, the old Brian Clough sort of tough management, you know, cruel to be kind days. This psychology that this doesn't work on these people anymore. You know, the society as a whole has grown up past that sort of suck it up, son attitude, and that is where he fails. That is where he fails miserably. And I tell you what, listen, Sheffield United, they're going to be looking at that game because they're in a sort of similar position. They need points. They need to scrap for every point now, and they're going to be looking at this game on Sunday, thinking, well, that's how they done it. That's, you know, look at how Bristol City done it. They're going to rough us up. They're going to get in amongst us, and and are going to take liberties in terms of knowing we haven't got enough quality. You know, David Moyes was in the press conference. I mean, the press conference the club done with David Moyes, and I know they've got an agenda, and I know they've got a narrative to follow, and they're told what to say, what to do. I mean, it is literally, you might as well not have him say anything, because it's, weak ass questions. Can you take the positives, like playing the second half with 10 men, the resilience that they showed? What resilience? There was no fucking resilience. Resilience is getting yourself back into the game. They couldn't do that. Even with 10 men, the golfing quality between the two doesn't come down in golfing quality. It comes down to desire. There was no desire. There's no resilience there. There's no desire. And that comes, look, there's players there I don't blame for feeling that way. I don't blame them, because I've been saying it all season. There's not only a complete lack of trust, there's a complete lack of ability. And if our answer is keep on giving overpaid, overage players more and more contracts because, it's the nostalgia, it's the, you'll never succeed. You'll never succeed. I know clubs are shitting themselves at the minute because of everything that's going on with financial fair play, but apparently we're in a healthy state. We can do things, and we've got assets in terms of players that, if the going got tough, we could sell Paquetá for 85, 90 million. We could sell Bowen if we needed to for a 95, 100 million. But if you've got 5 players that are as willing and desirable as Jarrod Bowen, and could develop into that quality, it's not as bad. And I know that sounds mad to say that, but that is the sort of position clubs are going to be in. You have to balance the books. You have to. Are we a selling club? No, we're not. We're not at the moment. We're not a selling club. We've been, in terms of like buying and selling players, we've been fucking awful for donkey's years now. I don't remember the last time we made a profit on someone. That's the God's truth. I don't. We buy these players for silly money, and then we sell them for, we try them out, work out that they don't work into the system because there's no due diligence done. Downtrodden to the point where they don't want to play, i.e. Benrahma, Ings, Cornet, or can't show the abilities they've got because the system just doesn't allow them to, and we sell them for a loss. There needs to be more thinking. Look, I know in the summer we had a good transfer window. There was thought into that. But they need to be a bit, January's tough, but they need to be adding the next piece and the next piece and the next piece, because all that good work that we've done at the beginning of the season, as soon as 3 or 4 of them pieces are taken out of that system, we go to pot. I mean, I think relegation fodder, it's some of them players. Honestly, I really do. But listen, I've seen it a million times. I'm not going to sit here and moan about it. I'm not going to sit here and moan about the circumstances. I'm not going to sit here and, tell myself lies and say we deserve to go through. Better team won last night. Better team won. Better team got the result over 2 legs. But we need to sort of put that past us and concentrate on the competitions that we're still in. We're still 6th in the league. How? The fuck do I know? I don't know. But we need to sort of like roll our sleeves up now. Why these hubs of our team are sitting on the sidelines, which was always going to happen at some point. And we need to roll our sleeves up and find a way and work out how we're going to, get through this period and come out the other side with a decent amount of points, a decent amount of performances, motivate the players that can't be motivated, buy and sell the players that we should be, and, get out the other side, and hopefully we're still within touching distance of the, of a good finish in the league. 7th, I think we should be aiming for. It's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough. But, let's just chalk this one up to an old school West Ham performance. But, the real work needs to start now in terms of like getting through this period unscathed. Because if we don't, all that hard work in the beginning will be, wasted. And in the summer, we're going to find it very, very tough to ward off some of the interest that's undoubtedly going to come for the Star Boys. And if them Star Boys go, what we've got there at the moment, it's going to be a disaster. But there we go. Thank you very much for joining us on this edition of West Ham Fan TV's the morning after the game before. We'll be building up towards the Sheffield United game on Sunday. I'll be there. I didn't go last night. I couldn't make it. I had some other commitments to commit to. But we will be there for Sheffield United. But thank you very much for watching. One thing left to say. Come on, you ones.